Well, Commissioner Putnam, thank you for joining us.
It's an honor to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
So you called yourself a proud NRA sellout. What did you mean by that in your ads, and do you regret calling yourself a sellout to the gun lobby?
Well, look, I grew up hunting, shooting, collecting firearms. I had bought, sold, and traded shotguns and long guns well before I was 21. And so that is a part of my heritage, my character, my values growing up in Bartow. I share those experiences with my children, and frankly, I believe that there are millions of law-abiding citizens in this country, millions even here in Florida, who understand and respect and handle firearms safely. They should never be confused with the monster who killed 17 children at Parkland High School.
I'm confused by the use of the term sellout. Had you said you're a proud NRA supporter, I would get that. A sellout means either a traitor or, more commonly, someone who compromises his or her own convictions for personal gain. Use of the term sellout, did you mean that?
Look, as I said, it is so important for people not to confuse those who are proud firearms owners, proud Second Amendment advocates, proud shooters, proud hunters, proud collectors, with the monster who perpetrated this terrible act at Parkland High School.
I get all of that, but I'm still stuck on the word sellout. A sellout, meaning giving of one's beliefs for personal ambition or gain. Do you still embrace the term sellout?
I embrace our rights to safely and responsibly exercise the Second Amendment.
You oppose raising the age limit from 18 to 21 for long guns. Do you think that the governor violated the Second Amendment by signing the school safety law?
I believe that Governor Scott has handled the aftermath of this shooting very well. I believe that we need to harden our schools. We need to create a safe learning environment. We need to have controlled access, and we need to have more school resource officers. I have said that I disagree with the longer waiting period and with raising the age.
So if you were governor last week instead of Rick Scott, would you have signed that law or vetoed it?
I would have worked with the legislature to put greater emphasis on reforming our Baker Act, closing mental health loopholes that allow those who are disturbed, those who post videos of themselves cutting themselves, those who advertise on YouTube and state on YouTube that they intend to become a professional school shooter, more resources for school resource officers, and I would not have supported for all of those law-abiding adults raising the long gun age from 18 to 21.
So if the legislature delivered the legislation that it did to your desk, would you sign it or veto it?
I would have worked with them to harden our schools and close those mental health loopholes. As I have said, I oppose the longer wait, which would not have altered anything about this situation. In fact, Governor Scott was also opposed to that.
So you would not have signed that into law?
And I oppose raising it from 18 to 21.
So you would not have signed that into law?
Likely not, because I oppose raising it from 18 to 21. I don't believe that that's the right approach.
When you were in Washington, the debt was around $6 trillion, shot up to $14 trillion by the time you left, and shot up well more than that after you left. Looking back in hindsight, are there any votes you cast to increase spending that you now regret, whether it be the war in Iraq, an expansion of Medicare, et cetera?
Well, when I went to Washington, it was just before 9/11, and the whole world changed on 9/11. Given what we knew at the time, how we had to respond, how we had to ramp up Homeland Security, completely changed the way that we approached airport security. None of us wanted to put America at risk of having another 9/11 situation.
But in hindsight, you support, still in hindsight, every vote you cast to increase spending.
Well, I wish we all had the benefit of hindsight in life,
I'm going to give you that benefit.
Don't.
That's right. I'm going to give you that benefit. Looking back, woulda, coulda, shoulda, knowing what you now know.
Life doesn't work in woulda, coulda, shouldas. There are clearly times when I was forced to vote on packages after 2006 when Nancy Pelosi would bundle funding for our troops with a whole bunch of other extraneous matters, that I wish I could have separated those out and voted for funding for our troops and not voted for some of the San Francisco ideas that she had. But we didn't have that luxury. You got one vote, and I was never going to vote against supporting our troops who were in the field defending us.
In the current state budget, are we spending enough on K through 12 public education, or are we shortchanging it?
Well, I was pleased to see that the legislature increased on average per pupil funding by just over $100 this year. I'm a product of our public schools.
You mentioned per student funding. It's still not where it was in 07, 08 when you adjust for inflation. Should it be?
Well, you obviously have to work your way back up to that. Money is not the only driver. If it was, then some of the high tax, high spending states that keep sending us their talent, who move to Florida every day at the rate of 1,000 new people per day, they spend more per pupil than we do, and their outcomes are not necessarily better than Florida's. Florida has done a very good job closing the achievement gap, lifting the achievement levels, particularly of minority students, but there's more to be done.
Commissioner Putnam, thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
Watch more with Adam Putnam and the other candidates in the race on our YouTube channel. Search for Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics and click subscribe.